Okay, today we're going to study SD 46.10. This is on page 98. Anyway, you all have the study sheets with you. This is called the Catukka Dhammakathika Sutta. Catukka means sets of four. So there are four teachings. Okay, Catukka. Dhamma means, of course, the Buddha's teaching. Katika means speaker. So Dhammakathika means Dhamma speaker, Dhamma teacher. Okay. Sutta means thread. It means originally means thread. So here, Sutta means this teaching is like a thread that goes right back to the Buddha's time. Right? So when we study this kind of sutta, we connect back to the Buddha. So this is the closest we have to the Buddha's teaching. So when we study all these things, we can practice what the Buddha taught directly. And the reason for that is so that we feel really peaceful ourselves, and then in this life we become just like the Buddha's followers, the saints and so on, so that we don't suffer anymore, we don't be reborn in suffering states and so on. You find today there are many kinds of Buddhism. So many Buddhism, they have a lot of rituals, right? Too many rituals you find. It's not helpful. Ritual is simply you repeat something, but we don't change. So the suttas help us to change by asking a lot of questions about ourselves. Am I happy? What do I do to make my life right? How do I become kind with people? Things like that. So the sutta teaches us a lot of things. How to be happy, how to make other people happy, and how to make this world a better place. Okay? So in a sense, this kind of teaching is not a religion. Right? You can call it way of life, you can call it a path to self-awakening. It's like we all are sleeping and we are dreaming. And we are dreaming, we think, wow, we're really scared. It's so real, And then we wake up, then the day is bright, and that's why in Buddhism we use the word awakening. The word actually is bodhi. Bodhi also is the name of the tree, like the little tree out there, small version of the big bodhi tree. Bodhi comes from the root word bud, meaning to understand, right? So the Buddha is the one who fully understands the nature of life. He has overcome suffering, in other words. So from this word bodhi, in English, the best word we can think of is to awaken. Right? Because we can use the word understand, but understand seems to be quite limited in meaning. But awaken means, wow, you're no more dreaming, you see things as they really are. Okay, so that's why we also call the Buddha the awakened one. Okay, and the Buddha's followers are called arahats. The Buddha and arahats, their awakening are the same. I mean, it's just like let's say prisoners, okay, or prisoners of war. They're captured. The leader is captured. The soldiers under him also are captured, and then the war is over. They all are free. The captain is free. Soldiers also free. The freedom of the captain and the freedom of the soldier are the same, because they both are free. See? So we do not say, oh, the Buddha's awakening is bigger than the Arahat's awakening. The Arahat need to awaken some more. Like you might hear some people today talk like that. That's not right. That's very wrong. And the Buddha said, don't talk like that, because in the Sambuddha Sutta, the Buddha says that the Buddha's awakening and the Arahat's awakening are the same. But the only difference is the Buddha understood the teaching first. The Buddha awakened first. So he is the first teacher. The others are followers. That's the only difference, right? It's just like we eat food, we all feel full, right? So there's no difference between the fullness. We feel full, we're happy, something like that. So the suttas are very important to us. Okay, so the first line, you look at the sutta. Second line gives you the translation. Okay, the fourth, that means this book has got four things. Discourse is a sutta on the Dharma speaker. Now, why do I put brackets? this originally the name of this sutta is Dhammakathika, but there are a number of other suttas with the same name. So I added this Catukka in front to make it unique, so we know this is the particular sutta we're talking about. And this is a very interesting sutta, which I will tell you more about in a moment. Next is the ID of the sutta, the number A4.139. A is Anguttara. Anguttara is the fourth book of the 5 Nikayas. 139 is Sutta number 139. And this sutta also appears in the Abhidhamma book called Pugala Panyati. Pugala Panyati means definition of persons. Okay? So, chapter 4, Sutta 7. The next line is about what is sutta about? This sutta is about 4 kinds of Dharma speakers and their respective audiences. Okay? Now this sutta is very interesting. It may be short, but it's actually a little puzzle. There are at least 2 important questions which I asked myself. And it took me a bit of time to think about them and find the answer. Then I revised this whole translation with the notes. The first thing is there are a set of 8 people, but the Buddha only chose 4. Why did he do that? And then in the sutta there's one line the Buddha said, so you're wondering why did the Buddha say that? Let's look at the sutta first, and from there we can go on to find out all these questions. Okay, the sutta is very short. Look at page. Is it 102 your sutta? Okay. Yeah. Okay. The 4th discourse on the Dharma speaker. Can you see that? Okay. Page 102. All right. It's very short. See, it's about half a page on it. Right. Look at section 1. Bhikshus. Bhikshus are the monks, okay? Here, although the Buddha addresses the bhikshus because they are the ones who listen to the Buddha most often. But there are other people, nuns, laymen, laywomen also listening. And this kind of teaching, with the letter A, Anguttara, they are often given to lay people for us to practice. Bhikshus, there are these 4 kinds of Dharma speakers. What are the 4? Number 1, here bhikshus, a certain Dharma speaker says little, but what is unbeneficial. And his congregation, his group, is unskilled in discerning what is beneficial and what is not. Alright, so this is quite a negative group. The teacher doesn't speak much. And whatever he sees also not very useful. Then his group, his followers, his congregation, they are unskilled, they're not very wise. Okay, in discerning what is beneficial, what is not. That is the first group. Okay. Now, bhikshus, such a Dharma speaker is reckoned a Dharma speaker for just such a congregation or assembly. Okay, so this is the line 2.2. This repeats 3 more times. What does the Buddha mean by this? Okay, now we will answer the question a little later. Now let's look at the next group of people, section 3, and you see brackets 2. But here, bhikshus, a certain Dharma speaker says little, but what is beneficial. And the congregation, that means the group listening, the audience, is skilled, wise, in discerning what is beneficial and what is not. In other words, they're wise, they know what's good, what's bad. Okay? There are 2 things to understand here. One is to know what's right, what's wrong. The other is to know what's good, what's bad. So what's the difference here? Now the first one is what we call ethics, precepts. Okay? Second one is called spirituality. In other words, awakening, becoming like the Buddha. Okay? So, when we say the audience or the people, the followers are skilled, wise, they understand what's right, what's wrong. That means they know the precepts. Okay, what are the precepts, how they should be kept, how to practice the precepts properly. Okay, so that's knowing what's right, what's wrong. Then the other ones, what's good, what's bad. Now this one is more to do with mental cultivation, with mental health. How to be really happy. Okay, so how do we become really happy? Right, by thinking happy thoughts, for example, by letting go of negative thoughts. Right, so that is The second one, knowing what's good, what's bad, or what's wholesome, what's unwholesome. So you got two aspects here in the meaning of skill. Or when we say unskilled, that means this group doesn't know how to think in this way. So now, have I read to you the second one yet? Okay, so skill, and then here again there's a refrain. This is called a refrain. Okay, that means the line repeats itself. It's a very important reminder. 3.2. Okay, now we're on page 102, section 3.2. Bhikshus, such a Dharma speaker is reckoned a Dharma speaker for just such a congregation. Okay. Now the sutta sometimes is very interesting. You read this line, you more or less understand. But when you try to explain it, you say, "Wow, it's quite difficult actually." All right. So this happened to me. I read it, I say, "Yeah, that's quite easy to understand it. The words are easy." But then I tell myself, how do I explain it? It took me about a month to just think about it and then say, "Oh yeah, okay, now I got it." All right. So, okay, summarize. For those who have just come. Okay, the first teacher doesn't say much. He said very little, and what he says is not very useful. And then his audience, his congregation, also not very wise. First group, no? That means the teacher is not clever, audience is not clever. Okay. Now, second one, the teacher doesn't say much. Okay, maybe he's a meditation master. Okay, doesn't say much. One day he comes, everyone's ready to hear his talk, and he says, "Meditate." That's all. One word only. Very wise teacher. Then, but it's beneficial. It's beneficial. Or maybe, of course, he might say more. He might say, "Today you must learn how to let go of all your thoughts by simply smiling at them and simply label them thinking. Don't follow them. That's all. Try it." And then his congregation, his followers are very wise. They try. They're happy because of that. Okay, this is the second group. Now the third group, that is section 4, brackets 3. But here, bhikshus, a certain Dharma speaker says much, but what is unbeneficial, and his congregation is unskilled in discerning what is beneficial and what is not. Okay, this one is very common. Today Sunday you go to a lot of groups, you find a lot of talks, How useful, we don't know. So this person talks a lot, alright? But useless. And then the audience also not clever. So the audience not clever, but the audience say, "Wow, this teacher very cheap, I cannot understand. He must be very wise." I can't understand anything. Right? A lot of people like to talk like that. Because they never ask questions, Alright? And if you ask question, this kind of teacher, what would he say? He will say, "Oh, if you can ask this question, that means you can find out the answer yourself." Right? No, there are teachers like that. Not very helpful. Okay? So, this is the second one. Alright, notice the first one and this third one, very similar. One talks little, the other talks much. Okay? Now comes the fourth one. Okay, by the way, the refrain repeats itself again, 4.2. Bhikshus, such a Dharma speaker is reckoned a Dharma speaker for just such a congregation. What does it mean? We're going to find out in a while. Now the fourth and last kind of teacher, section 5. But here, bhikshus, a certain Dharma speaker says much, but what is beneficial, and his congregation is skilled, in discerning what is beneficial and what is not. Okay, so here this teacher is very clever, talks a lot, very interesting, and whatever he says are useful. And then the audience also very clever, think carefully, ask intelligent questions. Okay, then the refrain says, "Bhikshus, such a Dharma speaker is reckoned a Dharma speaker for just such a congregation." Alright, so you have four kinds of teachers here. The last line says, "These bhikshus are the four kinds of Dharma speakers." Okay, I'm going to ask a very obvious question now. Which of these four is the best? Yeah? Which one? Sorry? The last one. Yeah, number 4 is the best. Of course, number 2 also is good. Like I said, number 2 is probably a meditation teacher. He doesn't talk a lot, right? But little bit he talks is very useful. Whereas the last teacher is probably what's called a Sutta teacher. Right? So you got the meditation teacher, Sutta teacher. So the meditation teacher doesn't talk very much usually, but the Sutta teacher normally to explain a lot of things. Right? So this is a very wonderful, two wonderful situation. The other two is probably a cult situation, right? One teacher is very stupid, so doesn't say much, do ceremonies, rituals, and second one talks a lot, because he wants to keep the cult together, maybe make a lot of money, and so on and so forth, right? Of course, we can also see all these four actually in a cult situation also, because some of the wrong beliefs they can also talk in this way, right? But I think it's better, more useful to see that number 2 and number 4 are good teachers. Okay? Alright, now comes the puzzle time, okay? The first question. Before the question, let's look at the what we are questioning first. First of all, what are the configurations? In other words, what are the ideas in the sutta? First, let's look at the teacher. This teacher, one of them talks a lot, the other talks little. And one talks something useful, another one talks something not useful. Right? So this is a first pair, first 4 things about the teacher. Then the audience, the group, you got skilled, unskilled, clever, foolish. So altogether, you got how many kinds of situations? 4 times 2, right? 8 situations. Okay, I've drawn a diagram for you here. You can look at it on the page 98. Can you see that? At the top, speaks little, speaks much, unbeneficial, beneficial, and then you have 8 kinds of audiences. All right. Now, okay, the first one, unskilled audience, teacher speaks little. What is unbeneficial? Okay, the sutta mentions this. Then number 2 mentioned the sutta also. Number 2, unskilled audience, teacher speaks little. Teacher speaks much. But what is unbeneficial? Okay. Now you have 4 more possibilities. Number 3 is unskilled audience, teacher speaks little, but what is useful? This is not mentioned. Question is why? Why didn't the Buddha mention this? Why is it not mentioned by the Buddha? Number 4, unskilled audience, teacher speaks much, on what is beneficial? Why did the Buddha mention this also? Number 5, skilled audience, the teacher speaks little, but what is unbeneficial? Also omitted. Why did the Buddha leave this up? Number 6 is a skilled audience, clever group, clever listeners. The teacher speaks much on what is unbeneficial. Why did the Buddha omit this? Okay. Then the last 2 is included. Skilled audience, wise listeners. The teacher speaks little, what is useful. Then number 8, skilled audience, clever listeners. The teacher speaks much, but on what is beneficial. Alright? Okay, so the sutta only mentioned number 1, number 2, number 7, number 8. Okay? Now we're looking at the diagram on page 98. The sutta talks about 4 kinds of teachers. Okay? So remember, so this teacher, the number 1 talks very little, something useless. It's mentioned in the sutta. Teacher number 2 speaks a lot, also useless. It's mentioned in the sutta. This is obvious, isn't it? A lot of teachers do that. And then the third kind of teacher, the audience is skilled, clever audience. Teacher speaks little, but what is useful. And then the audience number 8, skilled, clever audience. Teacher speaks a lot, what is useful. Now, from this diagram, you can see that the first teacher talks something not useful. He talks little or he talks a lot. Can follow? Second teacher talks all good things. Sometimes he talks little, sometimes he talks a lot. The Buddha only mentioned these 2. These two actually should be enough, right? Now, so I asked myself this question: why did the Buddha mention the other four? Okay, let's look at the other four. Look at number brackets 3. Unskilled audience. That means the audience is not clever. The teacher speaks little, and then beneficial or not? Beneficial, huh? It speaks little. Why is this omitted? Anyone can guess? Actually, anyone can guess, because this one.
Does that have to do with like if one party can see that the other party is not?
Yeah.
So then you might not have
Exactly, because the audience is unskilled, right? Not clever. So even if the teacher talks something beneficial and he speaks a little, it will not really help the audience. So the Buddha left this out. Otherwise, it'd be too complicated. Okay, so he left this out. The next one, unskilled audience, but the teacher speaks much, also on something beneficial, also omitted, because the audience is not clever enough. So it's no point giving a long sutta talk to, let's say, when the group doesn't understand anything. So you must be ready, you see, or prepare properly. That's why I got notes for you and so on, right? So that makes sense too, right? Now, then comes number 5. Now this time the audience is clever, skilled. The teacher speaks little, but unbeneficial. This is obvious, right? Something useless need not be mentioned, right? Not helpful, clear enough, eh? Not beneficial. Number 6 also the same. The teacher speaks a lot, but it's not beneficial. This is worse. Speak useless thing. So the audience won't come anyway. Because the audience is clever, the audience probably will go away, won't come back. Right? So the Buddha only mentioned 2 pairs, because these 2 pairs, the Buddha is showing the first 2, this teacher talks something useless, so whether he talk long or short doesn't matter, because it's useless. The audience is not clever. The audience won't benefit. In the case of the second pair, the teacher speaks something useful. He can speak long or short, doesn't matter. The audience will still benefit. Right? For example, okay, here maybe we study for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Sometimes I go for classes and courses. The person may ask me just one question only, you know. And this has happened a number of times. A few weeks ago, someone asked, he said, I've heard a lot of teachers say this, but they never explain the meaning. They say the Dharma has got 84,000 doors. The Dharma got 84,000 this, 84,000 that. I said, what does this mean? And nobody can tell us. I said, oh, that's very easy. I said, remember what the Buddha taught us? The Buddha said, if you look at something very interesting, very strange, but you cannot understand it in normal level, you try to understand it on the symbolic level. What does it mean? Like a story, you see? So 84,000 doesn't mean exactly arithmetical number 84,000. Nobody has counted, you know. For example, someone said, if you look in the suttas, there are 84,000 topics. No one has counted. I don't know. Right? It doesn't matter. And then someone else said, the Dharma has got 84,000 doors. That means you can learn the Dharma in 84,000 ways. But then you don't come to listen to the suttas, you know, so even 1 door is useless. Right? So what does 84,000 mean? Okay, so I said, you look at the 84,000, you got 3 zeros at the back. What does the 30 mean? Buddhism got numerology, numbers. 3, what can you think of when you say 3? 3 what? Yes, 3 jewels, right? So we can say that 3 zeros represent the triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. What else you can think of 3? 3 periods of time, past, present, future, right? Okay, let's just take these 2 ideas first. There are many others. Okay, 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Buddha is our teacher, Dharma is the teaching which we follow, Sangha is those great saints of the past who set good examples for us. Okay. Then past, present, future are the 3 periods of time. It means eternity also. In other words, the Dharma is always there. 8 and 4. Okay, look at number 8. What can you think of as 8?
Number Eightfold Path.
Eightfold Path, yes. And 4 is Four Noble Truth. And once you think like that, very easy already, right? So there you are. Eightfold Path, Four Noble Truths, 3 periods of time. The Buddha's teaching comprises of Eightfold Path, Four Noble Truths. This is the Anantana Dharma, the eternal Dharma. This truth never change. Never change in the sense it's always true. So that's the meaning of 84,000. One meaning, the meaning of the meanings. Okay? Then this person says, "Oh, that's interesting, I never heard this before." Alright? And then, so it's actually a very short answer here, right? But today we give long answer, right? So this where short or long answer, if it is, the teaching is based on the sutta, you feel happy about it. Alright?
I say it's true because it's confused of this figure.
Uh-huh.
People is thought that really 84,000.
Yeah. That's called being literal.
As you will know, it's a breakdown.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh yes, there's another important tree, you know. You can give a talk on 84,000, just say 84,000, you can give 1 hour talk if you want. Okay, what's the third tree you can think of? When you bow down 3 times.
Correct.
Again, there are many meanings of the tree. Why do you bow down 3 times? Same, you can also answer the same way. First time, we bow down to Buddha. Second, Dharma. Third time, Sangha. So when you do that, you imagine I'm bowing down to the Buddha. So wonderful, the Buddha. We know the Buddha. Second time I bow down, I think of the Dharma. The Dharma is still with us in the suttas. Third time I bow down, we still remember the great Arahat, Sariputta, Moggallana, and so on. So that's when you bow, very meaningful. It's not a ritual, it's practice. Because you bow down, you reflect. You bow down, you reflect. Your 3 doors of action, body, speech, and mind, are protected by the 3 jewels in that sense. So first time you bow down, you can say, I bow down with my body. Bow down my body means what? I keep the precepts, the first 3 precepts. The first 3 precepts about the body. Not to kill, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct. It's about the body. Second time I bow down with my speech. Right? That is the 4th precept, speech, not to lie. So I bow down with my speech to the triple gem. Third time I bow down with my, what's the third one? The mind. Body, speech, and mind. These are called the 3 doors of action. Whatever we do, we do to body, speech, and mind. So the third time I bow down with my mind. The 5th precept is about the mind. What is the 5th precept? Against taking drinks and drugs. When you take drinks and drugs, your mind gets messed up. Why is it so important not to mess up your mind? Because we want the mind to be clear so that we can meditate. That's what the 5th precept is about. So 3 times you bow down, body, speech, and mind. Okay, so there you are. This is how you practice without making it ritualistic, by making it meaningful. So sometimes you come and you might see people bowing down very slow, then you know they are reflecting. Either they're very old or they're reflecting. Okay? So that's the way we should bow down next time. Okay, any other questions? Clear enough so far? Anything not clear, just ask at once. And now we come to the last, to this little short question. If you look at the sutta again, 2.2, 3.2, 4.2, 5.2, same line. The Buddha says, Bhikshu, such a Dharma speaker is reckoned a Dharma speaker for just such a congregation or such an assembly. What does it mean? Anyone have any ideas here? This kind of teacher who's foolish, he speaks little on something that is not useful. The audience also not clever. So this kind of teacher, if you follow this kind of teacher, you also become like him. Right? So in other words, we tend to be like the teacher we follow. That's why we've got to choose a good teacher. Right? So in the case of the number 2 and number 4, the teacher is wise, kind, clever. So you follow this kind of teacher, you also become wise and kind and so on. Right? So that's the meaning of this line. Okay? Be careful of the kind of teacher you follow. So how do we know who is a good teacher? Well, the first thing to understand is we don't follow teachers. We should not follow teachers. Teachers are human beings. Sometimes some monks give very good talks, very nice talks. In Asia, when you say nice talk, that means people laugh a lot. Okay, there's a lot of jokes, and they say, "Wow, very good Dharma speaker." No? But then they don't really know Dharma, but they enjoy it. Okay, so they say, "Wow, this teacher very good." Then they become his fans. they like him very much. They even start a website about him, which is all right. I mean, it's okay. Even the Sutta, the Buddha says, if you are able to love the Buddha, you go to heaven. What Buddha means is, it's not that he wants you to love him. He's saying that if you have loving kindness, you're kind to the Buddha, you're kind to people, then your mind is happy and pure. So when the time comes, you'll be reborn in a happy state. But the point is this: if you say, "Wow, you like this monk very much," okay, you're the fan of this monk's fan club, So recently I wrote a reflection, a very funny reflection. I wrote, "Don't just be a fan. Be cool yourself." Do you see the humor there? What do you use a fan for? To cool yourself, right? So I say, why must you be just a fan? Huh? You just fan people, but you are sweating. So you also must be cool, All right, that's the first meaning. But if you know Buddhism, there is a deeper meaning. Anyone knows the deeper meaning here? For the word cool. So this word cool is very wonderful, It's a slang, slang from the 60s. To be cool, that means to be great, to be fashionable, to be nice to people. People like you, so you're cool, But this word cool is a very ancient word. The Buddha also used it. The Buddha, you can even say the aim of being a Buddhist is to be cool. If you're a cool Buddhist, wow, you attain nirvana already. Because one who's attained nirvana is said to be cool. Okay, if you want to be technically correct, you should say it as cooled, as a verb, a participle, ed, cooled. The Pali word is nibbutta. Nibbutta is the adjective for one who has attained nirvana, is nibbutta. So nibbana is the state. Nibbutta is the action. Okay? So we say the Buddha is nibbutta, that he has attained nirvana. Because you can also say he has awakened. But if you translate the word nibbutta, it means cool. He is cool. Why is the word cool used here? Okay, anyone knows a little further here? Why do we use the word cool? Yes, fire. Yeah? What are the fires that are extinguished? What are the fires that are put out? 3 fires. Here we got 3, somewhere another set of 3s. Yes, loba, dosa, moha. Very good, you know the Pali words. What is loba? English? You know Pali, don't forget the English. Loba is greed. Dosa is hatred or hate. And moha, delusion. Okay? These are the 3 fires. Why are they called fires? Can you now, third thing, you got to ask questions like that, you see? Because if you don't know, it's a block. So keep on asking. Somebody will tell you the answer. It took me 50 years to find the answer. I found it anyway. Okay? Why is greed a fire? When people are greedy, they're running around there looking for this, looking for that, get excited, get angry, they might even kill people. Very often when we break the precepts, it could be because of greed. We are burning with greed. And people with a lot of greed, when they die, also suffer, burning. Right? Hatred also is a fire. We know this very well, right? Like this person, Lando, in America, Florida, killed 50 people. Wow, a lot of hatred, suffering. It makes a lot of people sad. And this person also, he has delusion, wrong ideas. Okay? Delusion also is a fire, which causes a lot of suffering. Fire here means suffering. These are the 3 fires. So when we bow down 3 times, or the 3 zeros can also refer to the 3 fires: greed, hate, delusion. First time you bow down, may I be wise to put out the fire of greed. Second time you bow down, you say, may I be wise to put out the fire of hate. Third time you bow down, may I be wise to put out the fire of delusion. 3 fires. So you put out the fire, so you are cool. Right? Okay? Yeah?
So say that hatred,
Yeah, hatred.
like and dislike. Can I put this way?
Okay.
Like and dislike. I'm talking about dislike now.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't like a person, I dislike a person, I mean, I don't invite you to come to my place.
Mm.
I don't invite you for any of the events or something, blah, blah, blah. But to me, of that is something like it's a hatred.
Okay.
Totally, I don't talk to you. But in the outside, I met you or something, I will be very plastic and smile.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Overall, all these things, but they are hype or they are cheating themselves or they are not sincerely say that I dislike you. But in the directly say that it's a hatred.
Yes.
Right to say that?
Yeah, hatred can form. Remember, it's called a root. These are called the 3 roots. 3 unwholesome roots. Now you look at a tree, you never see the roots. So this tree, you never see. You never see in them, but inside, they have that. They may be very nice to you, but like you said, they could have all the 3 roots there, see? These are the roots of action. The root, and then, in other words, the sap, the water, whatever minerals that go up, so up the plant, right? So these 3 roots feed us. In fact, if you combine all the 3, you can call them craving. Craving. Okay. Usually we will say craving and ignorance. Okay. So craving will be the first 2, greed and hate. Why? Because they're opposites. Greed and hate are opposite. Greed means you want something. Hatred, you push away. So it's pulling, the other is pushing. Greed is pulling, hatred is pushing away. Okay. So that's called craving. One word is called craving. Why? Because if you like something, let's say if I like someone very much, so I don't like someone who talks bad about this person. So they go together, like 2 sides of a coin. So liking means there must be something you dislike. It's a concept, the opposite. Okay? And then the third, the delusion, the stronger version of it is ignorance. That's why the 2 roots of suffering are called craving and ignorance. Okay? Again, sometimes you can just use one of them. For example, you can say ignorance is the source of all suffering. If you look at the 12 links, the first link is ignorance. Ignorance causes suffering. Let's say you don't know if something is very hot, you touch it, you get burned. It's ignorance. A simple example, right? So this is why as Buddhists, we want to get rid of ignorance. That's why we are here. That's why we want to study suttas. So that we clear away this fundamental ignorance. Now you're not ignorant people. You can read, you understand language, but we have what is called fundamental ignorance. In other words, there are some basic things we don't understand. We don't understand the nature of the 3 roots. So you come here, study sutta, you want to know what is the nature of the 3 roots. How do I overcome greed? How do I overcome hatred? How do I overcome delusion? So now the question is, do rituals help you to understand these things or not? They don't. Usually they don't. But if you do a ritual, you bow down, you say, okay, first time I bow down, I'm going to clear my mind away from greed by being generous. You are practicing. That's different. That's not a ritual anymore. Ritual means you simply do something but never think about it. Maybe to show off to people. For example, sometimes I hear this, long ago. Luckily now I don't hear it anymore. Someone says, how many precepts are you keeping? Oh, I'm keeping 8 precepts. And then this guy says, oh, I'm keeping 10. So they compare money. It's not how many precepts you keep. Well, how many precepts? 5 precepts you keep it well. That's wonderful. At the right time, you keep 8. Of course, if you like, you can keep 10. But if you don't compare with each other, that means you have craving if you compare. So it becomes ritualistic. All right? Okay, any other question? So this sutta is about as I said, finding the right teacher. And I mentioned just now that do not have this idea that you must look for teachers. And that's the only thing you must do. Yes, we must look for teachers, but we must look for wise teachers, compassionate teachers. Teachers who won't get upset when you ask questions. This was very difficult for me, but I have a lot of questions. I got very good questions. So but many of the monks see me, they run away, they're very scared. Oh, here comes this guy who likes to ask a lot of questions. Because they cannot answer. In a sense, I pity them. But I say, who else can I turn to? If they don't answer me, who can answer me? You see? Then I found out later, actually, I can answer it for myself by studying the suttas myself. So after 50 years, I am 67 already. So after 60 years, I find, wow, there you are, all the answers are here. But still, sometimes there are certain difficult questions I don't know the answer. Then I ask myself, who can I write to in this world to ask that question? I tell you, there are millions of people in this world, hundreds and thousands or maybe millions of monks in this world. I have great difficulty thinking of 3. At least I can think of 3, right? But not all of them will answer me. Sometimes I can send letter but they don't reply. But there is one monk who always replies. Okay, so this teacher is really wonderful. Right? This Chandramali. So whenever I have difficult questions in the suttas, I'll write to him. And not only he replies, he gives very good answers, very patient answers. And he's a very nice man. For example, the latest question I wrote to him, he wrote back, he says, "Dear Piya, you seem to have a knack of looking for problems in the suttas, and these are really difficult problems. But it's good that you found this, because even I never thought of this." and then something wonderful he said. He said, only last week I was reading something just about this. I said, wow, isn't that wonderful? So he got the answer, and he also got this paper written by a scholar about that. But that's called synchrony. Wonderful, all these wonderful events happening together. So put it together, I got this wonderful sutta, and it benefits all of you. If we put it online, a lot of people read it, they're very happy. Our sutta work is now 15 years. It's 15 years. Almost every day we are doing sutta translation. Everything is put online. You can go online and study by your own. You look at the bottom of your notes, you can see dhammakathika.org, right? Right? Can you see dhammakathika.org there? Okay. You go there, website, it's all free. Everything is there. You just go there, you click, you look for what sutta you like. You find one sutta difficult, try another one, and so on. If you're not sure, you can write to us, we'll help you. All right? So it's all available. Not everything, and the titles have been indexed for you. And now I'm working on the Dharma index, the teaching index. Everything is indexed, so easy to look. All right? Okay, come back to looking for teachers. Now, if you can find a good teacher, wonderful. But remember, a teacher is good because of the teachings that he gives you. Not because he's powerful. There are no powerful teachers. It's only you, stupid enough to think they are powerful. Right? And they love that. Right? Notice, no teacher will tell you, I am Arhat. No teacher has ever given a name card. Venerable so-and-so Arhat. You cannot do that, not allowed, Okay? Even streamen also not allowed for monks, Okay? It doesn't matter. Okay, there's an interesting story here. I was a monk long ago. This young boy came to me. I'm making a little interesting more this story, okay? It's based on true story. So this intelligent teenager comes and asks me, "Are you enlightened? Are you an Arhat?" I said, "Why do you ask?" He said, "Well, if you're an Arhat, you can teach me. If you're not an Arhat, I don't want you to teach me." I look at him and I say, "Okay, young man, what makes you think I want to teach you?" That's my answer. And I didn't say anything. I just said, "What makes you think I want to teach you?" You look at me, you don't know what to say. This is called arrogance, you see. Right? I mean, you don't know whether someone is Arhat or not. It doesn't matter. In fact, let's say if you think that a teacher you know is an Arhat, wow, you're so happy, you're so proud. You go everywhere and tell, "Hey, my teacher is Arhat." Every time you do that, you don't practice. You know what the Buddha says in the Dhammapada about such people? He says, then you are like a spoon. You're like a spoon or a ladle that carries the soup but doesn't taste it. Doesn't taste. Useless. But if you practice the Dharma, it doesn't matter what kind of teacher you have, then you are like the tongue that tastes the soup. So we all must be like the tongue that tastes the soup. Okay? So it doesn't matter what kind of teacher you have, but if the teacher is wise and compassionate, knows the suttas, knows the Dharma, you listen, you are happy. So now we come to the next important point. In that case, who is more important, the teacher or the teaching? Obviously the teaching, right? Right? And the Buddha made this statement when he was first enlightened and just before he passed away. When he first, very soon after he got enlightened, he came out, he sat 49 days meditating, very happy. No? Of course, every week he came out, he took a rest, changed posture. Okay, that's why they call 7 weeks, because you can't sit in one posture longer than 7 days, too long. Okay, so after that, after the 49 days, I think, then he was meditating. He came out of the meditation. He wondered. He says, "I have discovered this awakening with great difficulty. Now, who shall I bow down as teacher?" See, he's so happy. He said, "This teaching is so wonderful. Which teacher shall I bow down to show gratitude?" So he looked with his mind. He looked, no teachers, because none of them are enlightened like him. But he said, "Surely there must be someone. If not, something I can bow down to." Then I said, "Okay, it's the Dharma." You see, because what makes the Buddha? It's the Dharma, the teaching. So the Buddha says, "It is the Dharma that I shall respect." And the word is Garawa. It's called Garawa Sutta. Garawa means respect. The word Garawa in Thai becomes Kaurop, okay, to show respect. Right? Respect the Dharma. The Dharma is your true teacher. So that's the first discourse, Garawa Sutta. Then before the Buddha passed away, that's very famous. He makes the statement, he says, "Be an island unto yourself." That means meditate. Okay? Be an island unto yourself. Island is water all around. Water represents defilements, suffering. Okay, craving, ignorance, all that. Right? The island is your safe spot. When you meditate, that's what you're making an island to yourself. You're safe. But imagine there are lots of islands, water, right? But once the water goes away, normal water, what do you get? You got mountains. They're not islands anymore, they are mountains, right? So islands actually are mountains partly covered with water. So in other words, when you meditate, all these flood waters go away, you become a mountain. A mountain is strong and stable, calm, peaceful. Okay? So the Buddha says, "Be an island unto yourself." Then he goes on and says, "Take no other refuge. Take yourself as a refuge. Be your own refuge." And then he says, "Take the Dharma as refuge." So what the Buddha means here is the Dharma and the self are the same in this sense. In other words, if you practice the Dharma is inside you. You must, like food, you must taste the food. You must take the food to be healthy. You cannot say, "Oh, I got a lot of canned food, but I don't eat them. I just keep them here." And you won't be healthy. Canned food also not very healthy. You should eat fresh food, right? So the Dharma is like fresh food. You breathe in, breathe out. It's all fresh. All right? So be your own refuge. Take the Dharma as your refuge. Because the Dharma is you yourself. Your own self-understanding. The Dharma is about greed, hate, delusion. The Dharma is about charity, loving kindness, and wisdom. You are the Dharma, right? So that's the last advice the Buddha gave. To take the Dharma as your teacher. So in other words, we put the teaching above the teacher. So teachers come, teachers go, teachers die. Sometimes teachers are right, sometimes they are wrong. We listen carefully to all the different teachers. Then we study the suttas. That's the proper way. Some people, they say, "Oh, only this teacher is right. Oh, I need to start quarreling with other people." That's not very helpful. We're not interested in one teacher. Of course, if there's one teacher, we will say it's the Buddha. See? But even the Buddha will tell you it's the Dharma. The Dharma which is the most important thing. So take the Dharma as your teacher. This is what you are doing here when you look at the suttas. Take Dharma as teacher means you understand the sutta. Then, finally, the Buddha said again in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta before he passed away. Okay, I like to tell this story again and again. So I'm telling this story again. The Buddha was lying down, he's going to pass away. And then the story went that the Devas were very sad. So the Devas honor him, worship him, by making beautiful flowers fall from the sky. Okay? Some stories say that heavenly flowers are mandara flowers. They are huge, My goodness, I imagine, I said, wow, one drop on me, what happened? It's so big, But I imagine it's very light, okay? Because I can't imagine these big flowers, boom, 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 drop from the sky. What would be like earthquake, They're probably very light, beautiful flowers falling gently, and they're very sweet, very nice smelling. And then you have this sandalwood powder, very nice, in the air, very sweet smelling. And then music is playing in the air. This is the first example of canned music, the kind of music you hear in the shopping center. This is the first example in history, 2,500 years ago in the Sutta you got music in the air, okay? So, and these flowers are falling until knee high, okay? About this high. So Buddha is lying there. Why is it knee high? Because the Buddha is up to here, so it comes up to the level of the Buddha. And Ananda, probably half buried in the flowers, looking at the Buddha, and said, what do I do? And the Buddha said, Ananda, you can see all these flowers dropping, beautiful music in the air, nice smell, right? And you can hear hymns. All these devas are singing. The Buddha says, you know what's happening? He said, these are the devas. The deva is worshipping the Tathagata, worshipping the Buddha. Then the Buddha says, Ananda, this is not the way to worship the Buddha. The Buddha doesn't need all this. He's not a deprived person. Say, hey, please worship me. No. He said, don't, please. He says, the supreme worship, the highest prayer for the Buddha, how do you worship the Buddha? The best worship is to practice the Dharma. That's called the supreme worship, Parama Puja. If you practice the Dharma, you are worshipping the Buddha. You can bow down 100,000 times. When you practice the Dharma, it's much better. Why? When you practice the Dharma, you preserve the Dharma. You protect the Dharma. By embodying the Dharma, understanding the Dharma, then you teach it to others. Right now, we are doing the Parama Puja, the supreme worship. If you are listening to this sutta, you're also doing the supreme worship. This is what the Buddha advises. No need rituals. Very simple. Buddhism is very simple to practice. You walk out from here, sutta lesson finish, you're kind to people, you go back, you love your family, you are truly practicing the Buddha's teaching. No need to show rituals. Okay? Alright, so there you are, the true teacher. Okay, so those are the important points. Any other questions you'd like to ask? Anything else you're not sure about? I hope I've covered everything. Sure.
The table number 4, the table of speak, right? My question is number 4, unskilled audience, speak much, unmanifesto.
Yeah.
Can I say that the speaker always give a lot of jokes?
Possible? Just to entertain the audience, but not much. Nothing useful. But then again, sometimes the teacher tells very interesting stories, make the people laugh, to make them happy. I know one teacher, when he came to Malaysia and Singapore, he got shocked, because people see him all very scared, or look at the side of the eye like that. I think I've seen that kind of people, right? They're afraid to talk, they can't smile. You look at them like the world's going to end. So this teacher got shocked. I said, how come these people like that cannot smile and look so angry and frightened, And then it's not one person, it's many people. He said, why, how come these people like that? Very strange, So he decided to tell stories to make them laugh. There's one way he said you must learn to smile more, laugh more, don't show fierce face, ugly face, fearful face, right? But if you go to really a good temple, you find people are happy. People welcome you, they smile. Especially you go to Thailand. I live in Thailand 5 years. People there are happy, And I think you go to Myanmar, you go to Sri Lanka, don't go to the cities. The cities are very sad usually. You go to the villages, people are happy. There was one, I think you told me this story. This document maker, he was driving with a jeep or something in the countryside, and he broke down. The whole village came out to help him. He said, wow, this is wonderful. I don't mind becoming a Buddhist like this, right? So it's like that. When I was in Thailand, people were very kind, people were very nice, and you feel happy just living there. And because of Buddhism, they're very happy, right? Not just Buddhism, this is the old Buddhism, Whereas you go to Japan, you go to China, Korea, it's a bit different. Okay, slightly different. So there you are. To be happy. It's very important as a Buddhist. Yes, some teachers, they just teach to, be popular, just to joke, to, I did write a reflection on this. So sometimes we just use jokes to take charge, to control people. That also is wrong. Okay? In other words, you talk the Dharma to make people happy. That's okay. But don't just tell jokes, especially bad jokes, and then just because you want people to laugh at you, and you feel very good when people laugh at you. That's feeding your ego. That's wrong. Okay? Any other questions?
Can you explain about the line that we say, to such a Dharma speaker,
Yeah.
a Dharma speaker or just
So, bhikshus or monks, such a Dharma speaker is reckoned is regarded as a Dharma speaker for just such a congregation. In other words, it's just good enough for this group of people. Because he's stupid, so his audience is also stupid. But the other one is clever, his audience also benefits. So that kind of teacher is just right for the audience. Another way of putting it is, we tend to follow the kind of Buddhism we practice, tend to follow the kind of teacher we often listen to. That's why we've got to listen to good teachers. And the best teacher is the Sutta. Right? Okay? Is it clear enough? Any other questions? Now it's question time. So, to be a good Buddhist is to constantly ask questions. Right? Even if you have no one to answer, go on asking. One day someone will give you the right answer. If not, as you sit quietly during your meditation, you say, oh, now I know the answer. And then you maybe write an article, share with other people. And that's what happens to me. Okay, it's like this article, this sutta. As I said, at first I don't know what this line means. And I also thought, why did the Buddha choose only 4 out of 8? And then I thought about it, I found the answer. You need to apply your mind to it. Then I said, wow, I'm going to revise the whole sutta so that I can teach you all here. This is the first time I'm teaching this new revised version of the sutta. So you all have done wonderful good deeds. All of us have done wonderful good deeds together to be able to study this very simple sutta but with deep meaning. Okay? Any other questions? No more questions, huh? Finish. Okay, so we close here. Let's do a short reflection. To be a Buddhist is to be happy inwardly. When we look around and anything we don't understand, we ask ourselves, what is happening here? What is the meaning of this? Reflect on it. Sometimes you can tell the meaning to others. Sometimes you don't need to. You know the meaning inside you. That means you are wise. If you know the meaning of things, means you are wise. To be wise means to ask questions and to understand the meaning of things. When you understand the meaning of things, then you have a purpose in life. You know what to do. You know how to behave as a Buddhist. You know how to be happy. You know how to make other people happy. Then you are a wonderful Buddhist. Reflecting in this way is very wonderful good karma. By the power of this karma, may we have the courage and the wisdom to aspire to attain stream winning in this life itself. By the same token, by the power of the three jewels, let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones, to our teachers, to those who are practicing the Dharma, to those teaching the Dharma, and to those seeking, looking for the Dharma. May they be well, may they be happy. And let us also send out our loving kindness to all beings, especially those who are struggling to know the Dharma and who still do not know about the true teachings. May they find the answer in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.